thank you guys for coming to the training in Washington. I really, really appreciate you spending this time with me and wanting to learn this amazing practice. It is truly amazing what we're doing with the yoga swing. And whether you want to be a teacher or not, I know that you'll get something incredible out of the experience. So we first just want to say hello and introduce the swing. So I'm Jen Healy. I'm sure you guys all know that. But the yoga swing is something that I created to help us support our practice in going deeper into back bends and inversions. Now, there's so many more things that you can do with it, but I want to just show you that there's handholds attached to the carabiners. Just make sure they're attached to the carabiners for today. Sometimes they're on the swing, but the way that I use them, I like them to be here. And then you're going to have two sets of leg loops with their own separate carabiners. And then the main swing, and you'll notice it's really stretchy. So the first thing you want to do, and I'm teaching you as if you would be teaching a class, right? So this is how you would introduce the swing. First thing you want to do is just lean back and notice how much stretch there is. Now, there's lots of different fabrics on the market suspended from 1 or 2 points. So the difference between this swing is that it's super stretchy sweatshirt material. Everything spreads out. The swings have gone through many, many incarnations. So they keep getting shorter and wider because there's more comfort and stability in the movements. So nothing has really changed in the design except it's been improved, just like anything, right? Like the latest model has like super strong industrial strength sewing, so they just keep getting more solid in that way. I make the daisy chains to extend from the ceiling. You'll notice that we have a couple different configurations for the eye hooks. I've decided to just make everything a little bit wider at the studio for us. Well, for one, it's nice to have the extra space. That's why I like working in the small groups, so we have lots and lots of room. It gives you more spaciousness to move in lateral space, or multidimensional space is usually what I call it, because it's not just side to side, but it's actually like angular momentum. So let's just try sitting straight down, bringing our toes to the front of the mat. The mat's also an important part of our learning experience. We're going to use the shape of the mat to inform the movement. So our toes are going to touch the top. So work with me in getting the mat centered. You might need to move it around a little bit. If you're right underneath your plumb line, your bum's going to be in the middle. Okay, so sit straight down. You don't want to push back. So let your feet touch the front of the mat.
See me back my mat.
Now just bring your feet to the front of the mat. And then sit straight down. You're pushing back. Oh, yeah. There you go. So this is different than this, right? So if you want to know if you're cheating, just pick your feet up. Okay, that's where your bum belongs. Pick your feet up. There you go. Now gently put your feet down. So that's where you want to keep the plumb line, I call it, the entire time. It's really helpful to use the swing to support the body to lengthen and elongate the spine, but you'll also notice the intensity under the arms. So the first thing we're going to learn is how to release the pressure. Okay, and so we're going to press straight back. We're going to open up. Okay, we're going to let the swing come down to the lower ribs. So there's like the bra strap or the space right behind the heart, and then the swing is below that. And then we're going to use a forearm press to hook. And then we're going to come straight down. So I'm just dropping in with some of the basics, and then we're going to go over the outline for today. But I just want to introduce the swing to you and show you how we can really get the geometry of the space down. I am personally very passionate about sacred geometry, so it informs all of my choices and all of my movements. And I will share that with you, just the way that I think and how I move, and that might help you in your own practice. So I want everybody to stay where they are. I'm going to bring your swing up for you one hand, so come on up nice and slow. You can just walk it back. So when we come in out of the swing, think of it as like a pendulum. You can like walk in and walk out, so we're always keeping tension on the swing. Not like we're going to go very far, but some people, if they're feeling like a little woozy or dizzy, they could, hold on one more. They could actually tumble over if they try to get out too quick. So I let them use the swing to come in and out. And if I get lazy, I might just hop out too. But in general, we'd be here, we would walk back, come out, and then we'd walk back in. So we want to get into that habit of pendulum swinging. You guys are going to be Legos back there. So you're just going to look out for one another. And I trust that that'll go well. So we're going to have lots of room to play. And we might have a little bit of bumper car action, I call it. But in general, as much as possible, we're going to synchronize swim. Okay? And if you need anything, feel free to ask. But you'll notice the reason, does that feel a little better? So what we want to do is notice the geometry of the space. Again, our toes are pointing out at the front of the mat, 45 degrees. I call it a sumo squat. So it's not like this. We will be wide in some poses. It's really relaxed. Can you feel how the hips can relax? So it's not like this. So we find that space where the hips can just drop straight down. The main thing we're going to focus on in these upright positions today, we're going to work with yoga translations 1 through 4, is tractioning the spine out of the pelvis to create space in between vertebrae. And I'll probably say that like 150 times this weekend, but as soon as we really get it, that the swing is helping us traction the spine out of the pelvis to create space in between the vertebrae, that's how healing happens in the body. And we'll go into lots and lots of detail of that. So let's press back one more time. Let's get, this is just like a supported back bend position, get the forearm press. So notice if you get the swing low, and then use your forearms to kind of lock in, I call this a lock, then it's not even touching the underarms. Can you feel the difference? So just so you can see me, Ariana, bring your hands just a little bit higher. So instead of here, unless we were like taking a nap, which feels good sometimes, we're going to be right above our head. And then we can play with how can we create some sort of geometry or hand mudra that reminds us of what we're creating in the body, which is like a diamond. Right? We're creating a diamond with our arms, so we're creating a diamond with our arms. And if that ever feels like it's too much, you can always push back again. So just play with lifting the sternum and pushing back without using the hips. So everybody's lifting their hips. So let's get real heavy in the hips. Just drop them down, drop them down. We're going to work with the pubic bone in a minute. But just see if you can push your arms in and isolate the sternum. There it is. There you go. So we're going to learn anchors and locks and holds and all kinds of cool stuff that we can use with the swing to help ourselves and our pupils to really be able to go deeper and find the comfort. Can you feel how much more comfortable that is for the arms? Like the underarms actually aren't even being irritated now. Now if we go like this and drop in where we have no engagement in our lats, in a very short period of time we're going to feel the cutting off of circulation to our arms. So this is never something that you want to see in class. And it looks, I call it scarecrow. It's like, oh my God. And then you can see the hips drop below center line too. So if you ever see somebody doing that, have them come back, open up. Like the idea of opening up the heart and this gesture of receptivity is what we're going to focus on with the practice. Get the swing nice and low. And then go ahead and try the forearm press again. And come on back in. Now beyond learning all of the cool names of the poses and the sequences, I've made it all up so it's supposed to be silly and funny and playful. I really just want you guys to get comfortable with the swing, really trusting it to hold you and feel that combination of engaged but relaxed in the body. Your mat can pull forward just a little bit more. Do you want to just, sometimes I can scooch it or you can come out and just, there you go, perfect. Thank you. It's nice to just get it lined up now. Does anybody have any questions before we get into the outline and talk about what we're going to do today? Just with some of the basics? Okay, let's come on out and take a little break. So we're going to be in the swing a lot. And we have so much information, and today is just about receiving. So let it just absorb into your cells. So memorizing it is not going to happen. But throughout the practice, with repetition, frequency, we are going to get trained and ingrained with the basics. And my goal for this weekend is for you guys to master the basics. Who's here for just today? Just today. Okay, cool. So what happens, and that's totally okay, we're going to have lots of time to play, but if we can get the basics down, then we start to build onto that, and then the intermediate and the advanced will just, it'll just get easier and easier once we get these yoga translations down. So we're all going to take a look at our outline and follow along with what we're going to do today. So the outline is what we're going to write into, because part of your homework is to write out the sequencing, not the actual names, but the descriptions. The sequencing is here for you. So the 12 yoga translations is like the foundation of the training. And so I use yoga as a way for us to take something that we're familiar with and then bring it into something new by association to the swing so that the brain has some sort of circuitry of like where to put this information. It isn't exact, and it really is just for us to use inspiration. But you will notice that we'll rename some of the poses or recycle some of the yoga that you might be familiar with. Does everybody here do yoga? Everybody does yoga. Well, that's helpful. Thank you. Okay, so today's going to be restorative therapeutics for the most part. Tomorrow is going to be dynamic strengthening, and then Sunday is going to be acrobatics. So you're going to be here Friday, Saturday. You guys are going to be here for the weekend, right? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
maybe for Sundays.
Okay, yeah, you want to come to the workshop for sure. We'll have you down for that, and we'll see. Yeah, so I like to give this little 4-star beginning so you guys have an idea, like, okay, what are we doing here? What's happening? So yoga translations, there's 12 total. It really, because there's so many different sections, it works out to be like 155, but don't let that intimidate you. It really is just 12 and then variations on it. And then today, restorative, let's go ahead and just skip what we're going to do in the workshop. I'll go over that before a break. And then for the basic training, yoga translations 1 through 4 is what we're going to focus on today. Now, today is the easiest day, but it's the most challenging because it's so jam-packed with information. So it's going to be just like this full-on aerial yoga place storm of goodness. And it always works out like that. People are like, oh my God, that was so much. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's all written down. There's a gazillion videos, like literally over 850 videos on YouTube. You could just watch that all day long and then it'll finally come. The way to really get comfortable in the swing, and most of you guys have been practicing, is just to get in the swing and do it. And if you take these little bites, just focus on yoga translation number 1, just like a whole day of that, and then the next day 2, etc. It's just going to become so easy and second nature, especially like how to share it. It's one thing to figure it out, but then to share it with other people is a whole nother ball of wax that we get to enjoy in the workshops. So we're going to work today. We're just going to start with number 1 with squats, lunges, and back bends. So these are our upright positions. If you feel like you want to follow along with the pictures in the manual, you're welcome to, but it's really not necessary. You can just get in the swing. Right now we're doing the entrainment of what I call the aerodynamics, which is the practical, like just how the nuts and bolts of like how to get in and out of the swing. And so after we'll probably just get through 1 and 2. You guys are a little bit more of, you're already Jedi, so we might actually do 1, 2, 3 and then take a break, but we're going to see how we feel. We're just going to take it nice and slow. We'll get like a half-hour break and then we'll come back and do 3 and 4. And then what we're going to do is if you go past the number 4, which is dancing Shiva, I've added something to the basic training, which is a restorative practice in a way that you guys could actually break down for your students or clients in a nice, easy format. Like, okay, if somebody comes in, where would I go? So it's designed, 1 through 4 is designed to be an hour beginner class. You can teach that like sequentially, one after another and after another, and that would be a really wonderful class to do an intro. And if you wanted to do something specific, then you could actually pick any one of these, 1 through 7, and cater an entire class around this particular focus. And so what we're going to do, because time is of the essence for us, the restorative is what we're going to focus our workshop on today. So you're going to not only see, because the restorative is going to be a review of what we learned through 1 through 4, but then there's going to be some add-ons and some things that are going to be brand new. So the workshop is actually going to just be a continuation of the training. This is a new format that I'm trying out, just because sometimes I make this into a 6-day training, and so the basic training would be 2 days, and we would spend the entire second day just learning the restoratives and like learning therapeutics, which is the new AirX program. I don't know if you guys have been noticing my shifting of the branding, but Aerial Yoga RX is the Aerial Yoga Play RX version. So AYP plus RX turns into AirX. So the AirX is really, for me, the reason why I created the swing. The play is the first part, like get in the swing. I call it Aerial Yoga Play so we can learn how to explore and experience the body in a new way. But really, it is a suspension therapeutics program, so I don't even want to call it aerial anymore. Mainly because in like 2009, when I created the Quantum Playground and Aerial Yoga Play, Aerial Yoga was still like, you know, this little thing that was just starting. And since they both kind of grown in popularity, I love the fact that aerial yoga is becoming more well known, which just supports us in growing, because people are wanting to try it, and when they come in, I don't want them to be disappointed that it's not the silk fabric folded in half, and it's not Cirque du Soleil. So I want it to be more welcoming and inviting to any level, any age, any person, anybody with injuries can really do this practice. And I think that's going to be so favorable for us to really expand expand the definition of what the swing is going to be used for. Before we go into the actual practice, does anybody have anything that they want to share? Any injuries, first of all? Anything?
Done with like a little bit of like first rib tightness in the neck, so any kind of like full neck extension has been a little rough at catches, but I'll just support with my feet.
Yes, so the chillaxin arms is the key for anybody with neck injuries. And I will definitely cue a lot of those specificities for both lower back and neck and shoulder pain, mainly because that's how I use the swing in my practice. So as I continue to evolve this training, you get more and more therapeutics in there, which will be the second module, which is application. So we first learned the practical in module 1, which is this, and then module 2 will be the ARX regenerative therapeutics, which is the same poses that you just learned, but now you can see what we use them for and how to use them and in what combination, and it's really fun. So we're going to first get you familiar with the names and the poses, and then add in how we're going to use it to help people heal. Does anybody do body work or any sort of healing here? Just yoga?
I'm a Pilates instructor.
Oh, great. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I come from a healing arts background. I come from a science background, and then healing arts, and then yoga, and now the whole kit and caboodle combination. So all of those things kind of inform and infuse how I use the swing, and you can use it any way you want. If you wanted to do a fitness program with it, that would be totally fine. You are going to get strong. You know, the body is going to get toned and open and aligned. There's definitely strengthening and flexibility that we can focus on. Most of the people come to see me with pretty major illnesses, pretty severe injuries, and they get like amazing results with the swing. So that's just my area, but you'll get like the reverberations of that, how I use it. Hi, you made it. Yeah, we're just getting started, so you're fine. Go for it. Cool. So Lady took the training in Ashland, and she's reviewing with us today, so she has done everything. So I'm not too worried about her kind of popping in and out if she needs to take care of her little pup that she's sitting and stuff too. So besides that injury, is anything else? Any questions? Anything you want to share? So how long have you guys been using the swing? Have you been using it for the last year?
Yeah.
Great. How long have you been?
I've tried it just once.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. And
This will be my 5th time, I think.
Perfect.
4th, 5th.
It's nice to have a variety pack. And you?
I've done it 3 times.
3 times. Okay, perfect. Then I will treat everybody like you're brand new. Okay? And sometimes I'll make assumptions if I know somebody has been practicing a while, but even with Carrie, like, we just pretend like this is a first time meeting and we get in, and so feel free to ask me any questions. So let's go ahead and get in the swing. Let's go ahead and so let me go ahead and turn around. And sometimes I'll teach in this direction. So when I get in the swing, I lean back. So I start with my forearms, already positioning the swing closer down to my kidneys than right behind the heart. So if you don't push it down, see how it sits up right behind the heart, maybe higher for some people. Then when you go to drop your weight, it's going to pinch into the armpit. So the first thing we really want to get comfortable with is the swing low. I lean back, and so it's kind of in position. I use my forearm press, and then I walk myself into the sumo squat. Now, what we're going to do is most people are pushing their hips towards the windows. I'm exaggerating here. But what you're going to do is you're actually going to tuck your pubic bone down and under. See if you can find that position. So just kind of push the hips forward, like you would do if you didn't do this strange practice. But then go ahead and actually let everybody knows where the pubic bone is. So yeah, tuck it down and under. So even more Healy. So most people are locked in at the hips, and you're actually going to let the whole pelvis sink and float, which actually means you're going to deepen in the hip flexor. So one adjustment that I do for people, and I'm just going to use you as an example, is I take my thumbs, if they don't mind, and I'll push, yes, and I'll start pushing the hip flexors down. Because they're locked, most people have so much tightness here and here, right? And so the swing just so happens to sit at those two major hubs, right? So how do we recalibrate the posture? By using gravity. And it's pretty amazing to just let the body be engaged, let relax. So sinking down, and then you'll feel the whole stickiness in the torso start to open up here, which is really amazing. All right, I'll fix you guys now. Sometimes it's fun to swim in the same direction. Okay, great. And I will just adjust my mat, here and here, and if you guys need to, you can just usually kick it in place. Okay, so we're going to do that same thing where we figure out where our lats are. So we're going to raise our sternum by pressing our forearms in. Yeah, there it is. So it's just a little up right there. Just a little lift. So Layla, when you're ready, you're going to take that swing there and just make sure you check it and it's the right height for you. Okay, hon? Everything else is ready. Okay, good. So just see if that engagement through the upper body can help you relax the lower body. And everyone's doing it without lifting their hips. Thank you. Very good. Now can you notice how different this is than our normal sitting position and how open the front of the spine? So if you had a little rubber band at your navel, one side would be pulling down and the other side would be pulling up, creating all of this space in the front. So we're literally tractioning in two different directions. Yes. And that's what opens up the vertebrae. Feel free to adjust as you need. Okay? Good. Let's take a little break. So we'll take frequent stops. We'll make frequent stops. We're going to go ahead and with the diagonal. So notice that I'm not like this, right? So we're not going to collapse. We're actually going to take our hands and clasp them behind our head and feel like we're pulling up on a diagonal to the corner of the room. So yes, and then heart is pointing towards the sky, head is relaxed back. So stay there, and I'm just going to adjust you guys a little bit to really get it. And if anybody feels like they need more or less attention, feel free to let me know. But I'm just going to show you what it feels like to press your feet strongly into the earth and get that lift, and the head is resting back. That looks great. So your hips diagonal, so push your hips up just slightly, and then it's like this. Yeah. So it's coming straight out from your roots. Beautiful. So it's just nice that I do a lot of yoga massage. Like I actually just let my clients rest their head on my belly for a minute. My belly comes in useful. And so you're going to let your head just kind of, just like that. Your hands are right here. Okay? Yeah, right at the occipital ridge. And then you can kind of pull straight out. There you go. Beautiful. That looks great. How does that feel? Yeah, so diagonal. So just start to feel that diagonal in the body. And we're just going to fit like Legos. See you again. Thank you for making it. Appreciate all your efforts. Okay, great. I'm just going to come in here for 1 second. That looks really good. Just a little bit more of a diagonal, like that. Yes. And then the head can be back into your hands. Put your hands right here at the occipital ridge. Beautiful. There it is. So heart is pointing up towards the sky instead of the gaze. Beautiful, guys. Doesn't that feel amazing? So this is our #1 supported back bend position. And if for any reason your neck feels uncomfortable, let your head rest a little bit more into your hands. And then from here, we're going to stay for another couple breaths if you're okay with it. We're going to bend the right knee and then shift, and then bend the left knee and shift. And we're just going to let ourselves sway from side to side. It's like your elbow is coming to touch the knee, but it's not going to get there. So just let your upper body feel like a weeping willow. So your feet are strong, nice solid foundation, and then your upper body is swaying in the space. Yeah, and just let it feel good. So first 10-15 minutes of the class, all I do is warm-ups like this. Getting used to the swings like a new relationship. You're building trust. You know, you don't want to go too fast or too far too soon. Doesn't work out so well. And you really want to feel where the swing is supporting you and when your body is engaged, particularly in back bends. So in a back bend position, our our heart is open. It's a real vulnerable space. And we're also getting a free massage along both the rib cage and the rhomboids. Can you guys feel that in the back? So that we're loosening up all the connective tissue. And then when you're ready, come to center. Inhale, open the arms wide. Exhale, forearm press. Let's try our sumo squat one more time. And I'm going to slow it way down with number 1. So that's why I said we'll just do 1 and 2 for the first hour and a half. And you're like, really? But seriously, once we get all of these, this positioning down, the idiosyncrasies, then all the other poses will totally make sense. But if we don't get the aha moment here, we're just going through the motion. So it's good to really get it. And now what I want to do, so you'll notice if you just gaze down, make sure your outline's in a good position. Maybe you have your stuff with you. Yay. You want to grab it? So go ahead and take your time getting comfy, hun. Circle, side-to-side twist. Circle, side-to-side twist. So right now what we're going to do is we're just going to shift the hips. So the hips are a floating mechanism. I don't know if you guys know this, but we're going to learn a lot about the anatomy too. So the hips are not actually locked in. They're just floating in space. But they are locked in because of the connective tissue and the musculature around it that's been developed. So the first thing I learned how to do, like belly dancing, is shift the hips without dropping the knees. So the knee is actually just going to point out of the joint and then sink back in, and then knee comes out and sinks back in. Can you guys see what's happening there? Yeah, you guys are all doing it, so it looks good. This can be like 10 minutes with people, just trying to get the hips to rock and loosen up, but you guys look good. So when we teach the workshops, you'll see most people are just kind of these blocks and nothing is isolating and it's all stuck. And I'll spend a lot of time with people just letting them get their hips to move. So that way when we get into some of the more advanced poses, they can actually get the alignment. Otherwise it's just going to jam. Okay, let's go ahead and take a break. Nice. Open up. And then go ahead and use your chillaxin hands, chillaxin arms. So chillaxin is when we clasp the hands, not underneath the neck and not underneath the skull, but right at that occiput, the occipital ridge. And then use your thumbs to kind of pull on the atlas and get a little bit of space in there. That should feel really good. Awesome. And then the heart's pointing up, the head is leaning back. So I know you guys are looking at me every once in a while, but then lean back into it. Yes. We push the hips up so we get the diagonal really good. Beautiful. Now inhale, open up again, and then exhale, go ahead and do the forearm press. Come back to sumo squat. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring our feet a little bit wider, and we're going to try dropping the right knee down. So I'm going to stay on my toes, and I'm just going to twist. So I'm pretending, like I'm not going to pop up into it, but I'm pretending to do a side lunge. Yep. And then inhale, bring the knees up. Exhale, left knee bends down, twist. Stay on the toes if you can, and stay in the center of the mat. So use the mat to inform the movement. So we inhale here, exhale, the knee comes down to the center, and we twist. Nice. Do you feel what's happening in the side body there? Exhale, twist, left knee down. Inhale, back up. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come into it and the arms. So we're going to inhale here, exhale, drop the knee, twist, and now I'm going to take my right forearm and I'm going to press it towards the blue wall. Oh yeah. Now we're opening up the psoas. You guys feel that? See if you can keep your toes tucked under. Carry. It'll just allow you to come back up. Inhale up. Rotate from the hip joint. Good. Exhale, left knee down. And then from here, we're going to press that left arm forward towards the door and twist. We'll get all the way down into the quad, the hip flexor. Do you guys feel it? So this is an interactive program. You're going to have to make sounds. Any sound would be fine. Even is okay. All right. Very good. Now let's go ahead and press the side to side. So when we do side to side, there's two versions. Let's do the linear version. This never happens in the swing, by the way. This linear lateral position that we do on the ground, because we're working with angular momentum, we're going to press back and then to the side. So let's all press back and then shift to the left. Good. And sync up. Press back, shift to the right. Doesn't that feel way different? Press back and shift. Thank you. glutes are bopping, which they sometimes do, I'll just put them on my forearms and then go ahead and press back in again. And it just keeps them out of the way. Sometimes people don't mind it, other times they're like, oh, my glutes, they're there.
Yay.
So yeah, so our feet are as wide as the mat, even wider if you're really long. So use the shape of the mat to create the space. And then just notice what's happening in the groin hip flexor area here. Let's stay with the left knee bent, let's all meet here. Can you guys feel that? This is like the part of the body that like never opens in this position, and our weight is dropped. So we're not trying to pop up into a warrior two, we're dropping in. Yeah, so we're dropping in. And so sink your hips back a little bit. So this is a thing that your hips are doing because the lower back might be something that is painful. So see if you can just sink into it. Just kind of wiggle it down a little. Yes, that's so different. Then push your hip forward. Nice. Yeah, you feel the difference? Isn't that amazing? So that's actually working with the inner trochanter where the psoas connects, which is a part of the body that like never gets access. That looks great. Press back, and then see if you can come into the right knee bend, and then drop the hips. Drop the hips. Yeah. Drop the hips. Yeah. So little things like that, we want to get our alignment down, which is different than our normal yoga poses. And then press back. One more time, left side. And now we're going to try the warrior two. The first thing we do is change our foot position. I'm not going to give you a whole lot of instructions since we have a bunch of yogis here. But go ahead and turn your right heel out, left toes point to the left, and then the hands, if you already have your leg loops, are going to be, go ahead and use them in your palms. They're going to be used to engage the upper body. So we're going to exhale and just lower and relax. Inhale, press your hands down towards the earth, and then go ahead and straighten the leg. Can you feel your upper body really working? Press, press, press.
Yes.
Yes, thanks. Use your palms. Yeah, and then you can really extend here.
Should I raise these up, Jen?
Go ahead, yeah, for sure. If you'd like to make any adjustments, everybody looks really good. See, when I press down, mine are about the same height as yours, so that's, you can just press down more to get the engagement, or you can just decide to be relaxed about it. You don't have to do all of that work, especially if you feel like it's irritating your neck. But those leg loops are actually one of the first that I ever made, so they're really long.
Okay.
So I think I have an up one. Did you bring up down one? No, doesn't matter. So you can bring this up even one more if you want.
One more.
Yeah. So go ahead and just play with that. So now we can get into the play part where we let ourselves just experience the pose. Okay? Now notice what's happening here. So Carrie, a lot of people that do regular yoga are going to shift their hips so they're facing the wall. Your hips are facing me. Even more. Yeah, like that. And now let, like a wish, I call it making a wish, let your knees move away from one another. Isn't that amazing? So that's totally different. And the swing is supporting you, and then you sink right down into that. That's perfect. Does that feel totally different? Yeah. It's like, oh my God, there are my hips. And so we'll focus on little things like that. Because the hips, you're usually going to drop in for a warrior two without the swing, but keep your hips facing me even more. Turn your mouth, whoop. Yeah, like that. All right, let's take a break from that. That's a lot of information, right? So when I say information, I don't mean words. I mean energetics in your body starting to shift. So stay wide if you can. We're going to go ahead, come into the side, lunge, and then right up into the warrior two. Change the foot position first. So heel out, toes, yeah, the side. Great. And now once we're here, shift your hips towards the front of the room. So instead of like this, they're like this. And then knees go away from one another. That's it. That looks really good. Julia. Okay, so inhale, press, press, press. Press down, lift the knee. Lift the knee when you press. Yeah. Exhale, drop in, relax. Relax. Inhale, press. Press, press, press. Exhale, relax. Yes, that's it, Carrie. Inhale, press. Exhale. So it's nothing like a warrior two, really. I mean, it's just such a different, but that's our translation, right? That's how we can take a pose that we would be familiar with. And then we're supported in so many ways that we can really drop into it more. And the knee is protected here because the weight is being held by the swing, which is keeping, so I'm going to come out for a second and just, I'm exaggerating it, but people do warrior twos like this, so their body has drifted, their hip has collapsed, their knee has collapsed, and the swing allows you to do this, which is this upliftment through the pose, which is really, really nice. Now let's come back, let's just wiggle it together, heel toe the feet to center. Since that was a lot on the hips, this is called a low bottom. Just go ahead and shift from side to side. Let your shoulders ride up on this one. Now notice, even though the swing is really high on the arms, it actually starts to massage out and squeeze the subscapular area, which is where a lot of the tension lives for shoulder pain. Yeah, good. Thanks, guys. So feet together, knees moving away from one another. We're just shifting, relax. Okay, feet are going to press straight down. We're going to go ahead and release the leg loops, come into the supported back bend. So we're on the diagonal, arms open wide, and then go ahead and we're going to use chillaxing arms the whole time. You could obviously come into the fullest expression with the arms straight overhead, but let's all just support the neck today and focus on restorative. So now when we come into weeping willow, feet are together, pressing down strongly, and then we're going to shift from side to side. Elbows are going to come towards the hips, the outer hip. Obviously they're not going to touch, but the upper body has, I call it swag, the upper body has so much swagger just from the momentum of going back and forth. Does that feel good, everybody? Mm-hmm. Nice. Again, we're getting that free rolfing session behind the back. All that stickiness behind the heart starts to get activated, and we're allowing the chest to blossom towards the sky. You guys are all looking really good. Just let the elbows flare out wide if that's comfortable for the shoulders. Okay, let's do a couple more of the lunge variations. Inhale, open the arms wide. Exhale, forearm press. Immediately get the swing in a good position, right? So we line it up first. Yeah, most of the time it needs to go lower than it is. That looks squishy. Okay, let's go ahead and inhale, pick up the left knee. We're going to do a forward lunge by shooting the foot straight back. We did the side lunges. You can keep the toes tucked under. I usually, you can have a foot flat, but I keep the toes tucked under mostly because I like to lift my knee. I've had lots of knee injuries, so that's always my emphasis and focus on the poses, so I'm not dropping any weight down. But if you like to push up on the top of the foot, it's okay. So we're going to wiggle the front foot forward. Make sure your toes find the alignment with the mat. It's a 4-foot mat, so some people are longer. And then the knee is near the center. I know. There we go. Beautiful. Now what we're going to do here, which is different, can you push forward into the lunge? Yeah, there you go. And if you, it's okay to like sink back into it. It's just not not exactly the same pose. What we're going to do here is do the forearm press and lift the sternum towards the sky. Lift the chest. So you're going to press your forearms in so much, okay, that your knee comes up. So just try it. Push in so much that your knee comes up. And then feel what happens in the front of the body. From the center of the quad through the hip flexor into the belly and psoas, you get this amazing stretch. Opening up the front of the spine. And notice that the back body is not compressed at all. The lower back is not taking the arch. We're arching from the upper thoracics, right behind the heart. So go ahead and inhale and press. Exhale, relax down into straight up and down position and drop into front knee a little bit more. Now, normally we wouldn't go knee over the toes or knee over the ankle, but since the swing is holding our weight straight up, there's no pressure on the joint, right? Inhale, go ahead, use the forearms to lift. This time, try straightening the front leg and bring the top of your head to your heel. So your arms are going to straighten, and then you notice it's a much bigger stretch. That would be the more advanced version. Obviously, your head won't touch the heel. We're just moving in that direction. And then go ahead and exhale, relax back down. How does that feel? Really amazing, right? Okay, good. Straighten the front leg. The left leg come back up and around. So always push back to change sides. Go ahead and lift the right knee up. Shoot it back. You can twist the better if that's comfortable. And then slide into the forward lunge. Really nice. Okay, great. So we drop the knee. So we first just notice the chest. Now, if we don't use the forearms, notice the chest sinks. Okay? With the forearms, you can actually pretend like you have a wheel right at the sternum that is turning and lifting up towards the sky. Just try it. It's totally different than what we're used to. It's okay to support the neck. Healy, if you want to do the chillaxing arms, I'm just going to give you that watch me for a second. You can do the same thing. I'm pressing my back into the swing to get that same rotation. Okay? So that is 100% okay. And even if the swing kind of starts to ride up a little bit, your forearms pressing in is what lifts the chest up. So I want you to practice 5 breaths, just coming in and out of it on your own. Find your fullest expression. See if straightening the front leg and straightening the arms and leaning back is available to you. Only if the lower back stays happy. Okay? Exhale, come on back down when you're ready. And then just press forward into the front knee. Notice we can easily lift here, right? Forearms working the whole time. So I don't relax my arms. I'm really pressing to get that lift. So the swing is, and if somebody could actually do this too, if they really had trouble with, I work with a lot of older people as well that might not have the strength. So this is an option for them. Or of course the gazillion other holds that we have. But that's what I love about the swing is there's infinite ways to do these poses. Like if we wanted to practice engaging the chest and the pectorals, this might be a good option, right? Same thing, inhale, press, press, press. Exhale, drop it down. Relax. All right, one more time and then come on down. Let's go ahead and straighten the legs. Pull that right knee up. Let's come right into chillaxing arms. Sway it out from side to side. Breathing low. And I will repeat the names like a gazillion times too, and I just want you to repeat it in your head if that's helpful, and just be like, right, supported back bend, weeping low, got it. You know, whatever best way you learn, you're welcome to say it out loud too. I'll do a lot of repeat after me's as well. But just see if the names and the poses can start to sync up for you. And because you guys already have a strong yoga practice, I am giving some breath cues, but not as much as I would in a workshop with new people. I'm mainly just wanting to get the nuts and bolts instead of the breath, which I trust that you're going to keep breathing the whole time. So an inhalation is always an expansion, and exhalation is always either a relaxation or a close, right? So see if you can find that in all the poses yourself. And if not, just it'll come, just focus. When I started doing yoga, I could not do the breath. The breath was like, oh my God, there's so much happening. So let that come along later and let it sink up. Okay, one more twist here. Inhale, left knee comes up. Okay, forearm presses, holding the swing into place. Roll onto the outer edge of the right. Make sure that foot flips back, and then step as high as you can. So notice the shape of the mat, right? So it's really great, Jamie, you already got there. Now you can have the foot by the shin, the knee, or the hip. Let's try to find right angles everywhere. See if you can find a right angle here, a right angle down to the ankle, and a right angle here, the hip. Yes. So alignment and getting that geometry. That's what I like to work with first. And then the pose is actually sinking the hips. So this is the dip. I dip, you dip, we dip. So anyhow, go ahead and look over that left shoulder and feel what happens to the side body. Right now, the right side body is the focus. Right? The more that we press and the more that we twist, it's a reclined twist like you would do on the floor. But obviously we have a little bit more space to play. And then go ahead and inhale, come back up. We'll revisit that one more time. Come to center. So I take a break just by dropping my hips and like wiggling it out, even if that means the swing rides up for a second. And then press the feet strongly into the earth. Lift. Bring the right knee up. Roll onto the outer edge. Step as high as you can. See if you can find it, even if it means wiggling up once you get there. So wider and higher, Jamie. So bring your toes out to the side of the mat for this one. Wiggle. There it is. There's the wiggle. And then drop. As soon as you drop, then you can twist and look over the right shoulder. See what happens in the intercostal muscles on the left side there. It's really amazing. Inhale, just pulse, lift up slightly. Exhale, drop again. So if we keep pressing into an area, it usually contracts against that. If we just come out of it and ease out of it with the breath, and then exhale, relax back into it again, we can usually go deeper. So that's great, everybody. How does that feel?
Good.
Amazing, huh? I love this. It's my favorite. Inhale, let's go ahead and come back up. Come to center. Exhale, just wiggle it down a little bit. Drop the hips. I can flex the feet back here too. All right, inhale, press up. One more time, because it's so awesome. Pick that left knee up, roll onto the outer edge of the right a little bit quicker as we find the alignment. Okay? Everybody good? So just see if you can get that foot in line with your hip. Just try it. It's okay to be a little bit more mellow about it, but with that turn, we have a lot more play and room to experience and explore the space, which is usually what I let people do after they get the openness, is rotate even more and see what happens, and then drop even more and see how that feels. That changes everything in the pose. So just take a couple breaths here to explore. See how it feels for you, really nice. And just remember the drop of the hips is the stretch. And then when you're ready, come on and inhale up. Let's go ahead and wash it out with the weeping willow. Try doing the weeping willow with straight arms if your neck will allow you to explore the space. And just notice that there are people and beams and windows and blocks and other things. And just be aware. Nice, that looks beautiful, everyone. Just work with the geometry of the space. And relax in arms if you want. So this is our rest. Our supported back bend is our rest in number 1. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and use our forearm press. Second side, inhale, pull the right knee up, roll into the outer edge of the left, right angles everywhere, and twist. Go to your fullest expression, and then try dropping straight down. Once you drop, then add the gaze away from the knee. So gaze to the right, knee to the left. Inhale, pulse out. Exhale, drop back in. Just tiny little micro movements will change the entire experience. Inhaling and exhaling, go deeper. Really nice, guys. Inhaling up. Exhale, drop in. Inhaling, go ahead and come on back to center. Wiggle it out. And then walk it into a sumo squat. So there's about a gazillion different circles, side to side, lunges, twists that we can do here. Are you guys getting a sense that we're just like scratching the surface on the interpretations? But let's go ahead and give our back a break. You can feel your underarms right in your back getting that free rocking session will eventually turn into soreness if we don't switch it up. So with the feet as wide as the mat in the center. So middle, right? So we're in the center and then on the edge. Good. I'm in the process of creating mandala mats with all the geometries on it, which will really help us really find that alignment quickly. Then this is a wide straddle forward fold. So this is peppermint patty. We're not going to get the sensation. We're actually keeping our hips right over the ankles. So we shift back and then we drop. We drop with a bent elbow into the forearm crease. Good. And so now with the wide straddle forward fold, we're just going to seamlessly move into number 2. So everybody has their outline in position. So you might want to just turn the page time so that you're on 2A just to get the names that Great. So wide straddle, elbow locks. First, we're just going to twist by using our gaze to trace the shape of the mat. Okay? Heels out, toes in. See if you can spread your sit bones here. I'm not going to get a lot of the yoga alignment because you guys probably know it, but I really focus on the internal rotation of the legs. Can you feel your sit bones moving away from one another, which means pushing weight into the outer heel? Great. And then from there, it's not just the side to side, it's a twist. So really find the angular momentum of the body. The thing is we're like a boomerang, because if we pull all the way to one side, it naturally just swings us into the other. So this is free energy. Tapping into the angular momentum of the body, the spins and the spirals. It's how we access the pivot points. So I'm going to talk about how to leverage energy and work with the pivot points all weekend. So I really want you guys to engage your arms. So Ariana, my hands are like making a fist by my chest instead of just being completely relaxed because I want that upper body engagement which lifts the chest and And then you can drop into that, even though it's a little intense. We're just going to stay here for a couple more breaths. So once you feel comfortable exploring the side to side, I want you to land in center. This week I really don't want the air conditioning on. Can you just turn the air down just slightly?
It comes on.
Yeah, my throat starts to close up when a little rough with the air conditioning system. Okay, so thank you for taking care of that. Let's go ahead and just drop the left hand down. We're going to release the swing. Okay, so instead of it being under the chest, drop it under the gaze. So bring it forward to the front of the mat. There we go. Cool. So again, just use that geometry. Pull down strongly with the right elbow. So the fist is coming towards the chest. Yes. And then gaze towards the sky. Okay, bring out the spine. Exhale, go ahead and drop down. Look at your bottom hand. Just take a moment to reset. Now there's a long line of energy running from the tailbone to the crown of the head, and then we spin on that axis to look up. Pulling down with the elbow is what makes the pose more intense, and then exhale, go ahead and bring it back down.
Are we letting the pelvis come with us when we rotate?
Well, I try to twist on, I try to twist on axis, which means I'm letting my ribs lead the way, and the hip will come with, but as much as possible, I'm pushing the hips back. So I'm letting it just ring out the whole spine until I get to the crown of the head. Right? So there will be a natural S curve that happens in that direction, but we really want to ground the hips as much as possible. Good question. When we come to center, we're going to neutralize the spine. Go ahead and straighten that right arm. So you're going to catch the swing with your hand. So you just straighten out. And now when you bring it overhead, lift your chest slightly. Let both hands clasp in the middle of the X there, and then drop down. So this is where we get into more of like the Pilates and TRX version, but because we're doing restorative, we're going to be nice and mellow today. So first I just want you to shift from side to side. I want you to just feel there to create a rhythm wave through the side body. And if you need to bend the knees here, it's 100% okay. If you can keep shifting the hips back, let the heart sink down, let the head stay in line with the body, that's ideal. Does anybody have shoulder pain here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Bend your elbows a lot, and that will get the stretch, because we're opening our chest towards the earth, but it will also help protect the shoulder joint. Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Yeah, so typically there's at least one person that finds straightening the arms too intense for the shoulder joint. So bent elbows is an option. And now we're going to practice strengthening the underbelly of the arms. So we're going to inhale and press, 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 and come to stand. So don't use your back. Let's try one more time. Exhale, lower down nice and slow. So at the bottom, you pause and let your chest expand. And now inhale, just use your arms and press. Keep the heart heavy. Press, press, press. Yes. Can you feel your arms working there? Isn't that amazing? Exhale, lower down nice and slow. Straight arms if you can. Bend the elbows if you need to. It's no problem. So we can do 3 to 5 of these, and that's plenty for a restorative class. Just so they can feel what part of the body needs to engage in order to lift. We're so used to lifting with our back. Come on up, come to stand. I'm just going to show you. You guys have done a little bit of work with, so just watch, don't follow this part. You've done a little bit of work with Carrie, but for us to come into some of our acrobatics and press up into Superfly, we're going to need to be able to lift the chest like that. If our feet are not on the floor, we have to use the underbelly of the body. So most people that cheat and use their back are going to have a lot of trouble when we get into some of the acrobatics, because we really want to get the body prepared to do some of the more advanced stuff. But this pose is just as important as any pose that we do in the air. And then with that visual in mind, just try it one more time. Okay? Drop the chest. And now imagine you're in the air and use your arms to press, press, press and lift you up. There you go. Right? Isn't that helpful to know where we're going with it? All right. So what we're going to do is go ahead and, I hope I do the right arm. I'm not all confused. I think we release the left, right? And go over? Yes. Right hand down. There we go. Okay. Second side. So you bring your elbow, left arm up, over, hook, yeah. And then the X will come out. Beautiful. So hand right underneath the gaze, fingertips towards the front of the mat. Use the mat as your guide, hun. So walk it forward. Feet are closer to the center. There we go. Nice. And then we're going to inhale, pull that left, bring the fist towards the chest, and then twist towards the sky. Beautiful. Exhale, come on back down. One more time. Inhale, go ahead and twist. Bring out the spine. Exhale, come on down. Let's go ahead and straighten the left arm. Catch. And then just bring it overhead. Just take a moment to drop the elbows. Sway it out from side to side. And just give yourself a moment to play here. Slow it down. Play the game. How slow can you go? Just let it feel good.
I'm sorry, I turned off the air, Jen. I'm not sure why it's.
I'm like, I'm not going to be able to breathe if the air conditioning is on. It's so crazy.
Ariana, do you know how to?
It's actually better now.
Is it off of auto?
Yeah, I just put it off.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's
The ticket.
The ticket is
Thank
keeping
you
it
so
off
much.
auto. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, guys. A few more breaths here. Now notice in this pose, we do bend the elbows the whole time. And it's a tricep stretch. So now we're going to work a different part of the arm, which of course will come in handy for some of the other acrobatics. So we're going to go ahead, inhale, lift the chest, press, 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 straighten the arms as you come up. Pause at the top. So straight arms engage the whole time. And then exhale, see if you can go down nice and slow and controlled. Excuse me. And then go ahead and drop the chest. Just let yourself wiggle a little at the bottom. Enjoy what's happening through the side body. And then inhale again. Press, press, press. Come all the way up. So depending on the class, I would do a lot of those or a little bit. But this really helps people to start to understand the geometry of the body and how the muscles work together. So the lifting of the chest is what allows the arms to extend. This is going to be really important in some of the other poses, and we'll go over it. But if you drop your head and you're really, really heavy, then it's so hard to lift. Can you guys feel what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So we want to get here in these poses when we teach on the ground, and it's so easy to skip the basics and then forget, and then when we're coming into some of the super fly moves, people tell me they can't, their arms aren't strong enough. It's not just the arm strength, it is the ergonomics of lifting the chest and then extending the arms, and this upliftment through the front of the spine will really help a lot. Okay? So go ahead and come all the way to stand. You remember doing that, Lene? And you did it. Yeah. We went through this. We do it through every training. Everyone's like, I can't do it. I'm like, yes, you can. So I just shamanic cheerlead, and that's what we call aerial yoga play. Okay, so we're going to now switch to the other hub of the body. With the arms extended, I want everybody to extend if you can. Notice that the geometry of the body is the same for every being. With your arms extended, the swing will be at the insertion point for the legs. Okay? So that's the beauty of working with the swing. The swing is also made based with the same mathematics as sacred geometry, so it fits everybody, whether they're big or small, the swing will fit them, which is amazing. So we're going to go ahead and lean forward. I might just turn around and do this with you guys, but we're going to put the swing at the hip flexors, and we're going to keep our feet in the center of the mat, very important, and we're going to drape our weight down. If everything goes well, your head will be close to the floor. If you sink your hips back over your heels and you brought your heels down, you're in a traditional forward fold, but that's not what we're doing. Okay? Feet at the center of the mat, head towards the ground, heels up, even though we're energetically pulling them down. Okay? We want our sit bones coming up towards the sky, not the lumbar spine. Can you feel the difference? In a forward fold, everybody's lumbar is pointing towards the sky. We want our sit bones up. And so I'm going to show you guys. Go ahead and lean forward. Are you holding up your sit bones?
I was trying to pull them up.
So let your heels lift and drape your weight down to trust the swing. Bend your elbows, just hang. So, if you guys want to just gaze over here for a second, not you. This is how I adjust people. I put my knees kind of on their upper back, not like too much pressure. I pull on the swing and then I just lean back. So even like you guys do yoga adjustments, right? You guys know that you don't ever want to do something like awkward in your own body because it won't feel good on theirs. And so that's going to help them lengthen through the side body. That looks good. You can have your feet hip distance. There you go. Good. So I like to just kind of wiggle them in, and then I pull. Does that feel good?
Yes.
And that helps them go a little bit deeper, but it also helps them get the lift. If I know them really well, I'll pull up on their sit bones, but everyone will be like, woo! In a class, you know, just for their sit bones otherwise. That looks great. So the other day, Carrie was not lifting her heels, and now she's like, oh, this is easy. So you'll notice that there's like a diagonal happening with the swing. You're not right underneath the plumb line. So ground your feet down, don't float yet, that's the next pose.
If it's really painful, is it just too?
You're in the right spot.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's really painful, that means your hip flexors are tight.
Oh, they are really tight.
Yeah. So if somebody feels really tight already, I'm not going to put too much pressure on them. But what you're going to do if the swing feels intense is just take frequent breaks. It is going to be intense. Okay? That's the whole point, is to open up the hip flexors. And that tightness that's in there never actually gets access any other way. Like it kind of hides out. And it just so happens that is the intersection and the main, you're welcome, the main hangout spot for the lymphatic system, both the underarms and the groin. Did you guys pick up on that? Step over pretty here. Really nice, Lene. This looks great. So yeah, so I'm going to go a little bit deeper with you and just lean back. So guys, if somebody is really flexy, I can actually just use my knees on their rhomboids and lean back even more.
We want to engage the quads here or let them relax.
Everything's relaxed.
Oh.
Everything's relaxed. If your hip flexors are locked, it's going to be painful. If your hip flexors soften and your quads soften, it's going to start to feel good. People pay me so much money to do rolfing on them like this, seriously. And this way you can just do it for me now. You guys look great. Is everybody feeling okay? Okay, good. All right. So if you need to pee, the swing will tell you, and it's okay to take a break. It's not going to be on your bladder. Your bladder's right there. It's going to be, everybody has it in the sweet spot. It's in the place where the leg inserts into the pelvis, so the low hip flexor. Okay, great. You guys are looking awesome. Let's go ahead and release the clasp of the elbows if you're doing that. Reach back and grab for the ankles now. Okay, I want you to pull your chest towards your knees. You can bend your knees slightly to get there, or you can just fully extend. But I want you to practice doing little cat-cows here. So inhale, arch and open. Exhale, round it in. Pull in. Inhale, arch and open. Nice. Exhale, round it. Inhaling, lift. Exhale, round. Nice, guys. Inhale, go ahead and lift and release your ankles. Come on down, and I just want you to, I call it happy dog. So it's like sway it out from side to side. Yes, you will need a break. Sway tiny little bits if the intensity of the swing is too much. But this is how you start to massage out the hip flexors. Right? Intense. Great. Now I'm going to stay in the same direction as you guys, and we're going to do this together. Let's go ahead and drop our elbows down. Walk your feet to the back of the mat. You're going to have a little momentum because we were on that diagonal. And now I want you to float. Now, folded leaf is probably something that'll feel a little bit better for your hips, Juliana. Like, it's what you wanted to do. You're like, no, let me float. Now, in the floating position, and we are going to synchronize swim, okay? So, Ariana, just bring your legs a little bit wider. You can be together like Lady. She's just going to fit in like Legos. So, if somebody's there, you just kind of work with them. Okay, but pull forward and back. Just let yourself rock. Head is heavy. Feet are no higher than the hips. So everybody needs to bring their feet down more. There you go. Just a foot off the ground. How much is a foot? A little bit lower than, a little bit less than a foot, guys. There you go. Right. So just let there be weight in the lower body. Okay? So we're going to add a few more things in today because Carrie and I were playing some really fun things yesterday. So you guys get some bonus stuff, bonus rounds. But what we're going to do here, we're still on the forearms, but we're just going to sway from side to side. If everybody fits, just try it. Don't kick anybody. Now this might feel really, really good on your lower back. Just warning you.
If your
Forearms.
knees want to bend, do you let them, or do you want to try to keep
You
them
can
straight?
do everything with bent knees if you want to. If you are really long, Carrie, you can bend your knees and give some people space. If you fit, that's no problem, but the bent knees is always an option. The feet don't have to stay together. One can come up and the other one can come down as you swing from side to side. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's a hip flexor burner.
So I call this swing the truth serum. It tells me everything about you. It tells me where your body is. It tells me where your playful spirit is. It tells me where your brain is. It's amazing. And what we want to use the swing to do is inform us of how to cater the practice to that individual person's needs. So bring your feet down, Juliana. Forward. There you go. I know. All
And if
right.
I cry?
Crying is good. We'll all cry together. Okay, so go ahead and land in. So I'm going to go ahead and let my feet be on the back of the mat and my hands be on the front of the mat. But you negotiate which one you want. So we're all longer than 4 feet. So we're all going to expand into a down dog here. So we just did floating leaf. That's what with our forearms down and our feet up, we were floating. So floating leaf, and now we're in a down dog. Okay, and in the down dog pose, I want you to do the same position. Lift your sit bones a lot. Lift your sit bones towards the sky. Keep the feet grounded. See if you can really get that arc happening in the lower back. So the lower back really locks up for people here. So everybody round in, and then everybody arch from the lower back. Push your sit bones towards the sky. Yeah. So we call this the cat's meow. We're going to continue to have a down dog and a cat cow get together. So this time we're going to inhale and arch. Look forward, so you look up in this one. And then exhale, round in. Round the back. Really good. So cat's meow. Inhale, arch, open. I like to pull with my fingertips, and then I exhale and I press back. And I look at my navel. Everybody round in more there. Okay. Round in. Inhale, arch, open up. Exhale, round. Squeeze the belly, navel up towards the spine. Yeah, there it is. Inhale, open. Exhale, round in. So lubricating the joints, really creating space in between the vertebrae. Now this time we're going to inhale, open, lift the left leg up. So one-legged cat's meow. And then exhale, round in, knee to nose. Go ahead and touch. Inhale, lift and open, arch. Exhale, round and squeeze. Use the core. Beautiful. Inhale, lifting. Use the pendulum swing of the movement to actually bring you forward and back too. Can you feel that? So the swing can carry you forward, and then the swing is going to pull you back around you a little bit more. Good. Inhale, open. Just play with it. Exhale, round. So these are our down dog translations. Let's go ahead and just plant the foot down. Happy dog. Wag your tail. Swag it out. Now here, you can do little loop-de-loops, semicircles, figure eights. Just play and notice that you have so much more swag than you normally do in your dog. And just enjoy the edges of your practice. Really give yourself time to explore and play. Give your pupils, whether you're doing students, I always say clients, but give your folks some time in the swing to notice a difference. And yes, Juliana, you'll feel that intensity, right? If you have a lot of play, you're going to get a lot of burn too, because that's really digging in there. But we want to get into the sides of the hip flexor. Can you feel the difference when you push from one side to the other? Feel what's happening there. That part of the body is so, it's like the TFL, like so hard to get into that part of the body and do some serious rolfing with people to get that open. But the swing will do it in gravity, and it's way more fun. And you can stop whenever you want. All right, press back into your down dog. Inhale, let's come into our cat's meow on the right side. Lift the leg and arch, open. Exhale, round in, pull in, squeeze. Beautiful, guys. Inhale, lift, open, have some fun with it. Exhale, go ahead and squeeze, use the breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, squeeze. side. Inhale, lift. Now this time we're going to stay. We're going to go right into second sequence, which is going to be the one-legged down dog. I want everybody to kick their leg loop. Kick your leg loop. That's the outside of the swing. Inside of the swing, no leg loop. We always hook outside in. Every pose, outside in. 90% of your people are going to hook inside out. I'm not sure why, but the brain does that. But we're going to always do outside in. We're always going to hug the swing. So the foot hooks, the knee stays heavy, which means you pull it down towards the glutes. Everyone will float away. Have them pull down and stay in. So one-legged dog is where you press your chest toward your standing leg. Press, press, press. And then you stretch the back of the leg to get it open. Beautiful, guys. So we're going to switch through an upside down dog. So inhale, pull forward. When you exhale, kick the leg loop on the left side and hook the foot. Pull the feet in nice and tight towards the bum. And when we pull forward, that's what I call up dog. And when we press back, I call that upside down dog. We turn our frown and our dog upside down. It should feel really good. Inhale, go ahead and pull forward and lift. Exhale, go ahead and press back. Now notice what we were doing on the ground with the wide straddle arm presses is going to come in really handy in these poses. If we can keep nice straight arms, what we're going to try to do is pull the fingertips until the belly stretches. And then exhale, press, press, press until the chest comes towards the floor. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and inhale, pull forward, release the right foot down, one-legged down dog, second side. Yeah, we just reversed it. We could have come down and done the second side, but here we are. Okay, so in this pose, we're not going to go into standing splits today. That's tomorrow. That is in the intermediate. But in this pose, we can extend the left leg towards the sky. Just try it for one breath and notice that that's a nice way to come into supported standing splits. We're not going to do that in a restorative class. We'll lose half of our people with their WTFs. So just stay in the stretch in the right calf for this one and let it feel good. Okay? Let's inhale, pull forward. One more time. I call it up dog. You can also call it handstand arms. So we're going to just open the chest. Press back one more time for upside down dog. So feel how different this dog is than the one we do on the floor. And then what you're going to do is just bend the elbows. Let the forearms land. Yes. Really good. So this looks like the scorpion, right? We can either do scorpion forearms or scorpion handstand. So it's like we're pulling our feet over our head. Yeah, so your feet aren't hooked anymore. They're actually pulling towards your head. Down towards your head. Your head's down here. Yes. Good, guys. Really nice. So our feet, we're not actually holding us, right? It's the hook around the hips. And then if you want, clasp your hands together, make a nice little triangle, get your head in there. All of a sudden, et voila, you're in a supported headstand. I usually end with some sort of supported inversion in a beginner class. Your head can land on the ground, and so clasp your hands, yeah, there it is, lock it in. Thank you, Haley, for knowing I was talking to you. Yes, so your head is landed. Let it land, press your heel into the earth. Feel it, there you go. Feel it land. Walk your hands back so they're around your head. There we go. There it is. There it is. Okay. There's a few different leg variations we can do from here. You can actually release the swing, squeeze the knees together, and let them pull down towards your chest. Yes. So this is really nice for those that have tight sacrums. Yep, knees together, pull down towards the chest. Beautiful, guys. Now notice when your knees come down, your head comes up. Knees come up, your head comes down. That is the pivot point of the hips. We're mainly going to work with the pivot points of the body today and learn how to leverage the energy. And this is one of those obvious ones, right? So we can feel, we can change the amount of weight in the upper body by the position of our knees. And just notice that's also massaging up the hip flexors a little more. So find the sweet spot for you.
And may I ask a question?
Yeah.
When we're like this, we want our shoulders up. Like
So you're pressing your forearms into the ground like you would in a headstand. Now, obviously, your weight is not being supported by your arms, so you can relax the shoulders at the same time. So I call it the sweet spot. So you're not creating are engaged but relaxed? Really good question. You can let the shoulders sink down because they're not doing much, but I like to keep the shape of headstand even though there's no weight. So go ahead and straighten your legs out in front of you and let yourself float. Bring your palms back down. All of a sudden you're in your folded leaf, right? Feet are heavy. And then we can let our feet land. From a headstand, et voila, we land back up in our happy dog. Okay, so extend so your hands or your feet are off the mat. Most of us are long enough that we can get a nice V shape. So we're going to go ahead and pull forward into a plank. We're going to end with some chaturungas. This is something we were doing yesterday. We're only going to do a little bit. So in plank pose, I'm going to let my fingertips drag and pull my weight forward. So my hands are not right underneath my chest. My hands are forward, and then I'm pulling myself to keeping this dynamic tension in the arms. And so from plank, I'm just going to bicycle. Keep pulling forward, so on your fingertips. So lift your palms. Pull, yes. Pull your toes, yes. Pull forward. So if you let go, you're going to be like, whoop, right? So you keep holding on with that dynamic tension. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play with bringing one knee to one elbow, and then opposite knee to opposite elbow. So we're swimming, but now we're bringing the knee wide. Make sure your neighbor is happy. No kicking anybody. And if you can, straight arms the whole time. Okay? But have some fun with it. Play in the space. And then let's go ahead and try doing that, as long as we have room, with straight legs. So go ahead and do some windshield wipers from side to side. Ouchie, mama. Clear the space. Here you go. Very fun. Nice. And then the last one we're going to do is the leapfrog. So you're going to pull forward and pop up into a crow pose. And then just see if you can hold it for like a microsecond. Hold and swing back. There you go. And swing back. Really fun, guys. So that's how we can make plank pose way more fun. And still get the length and the strength. So if we come back into our normal plank, we can bend the elbows and do little baby chaturangas. So our last pose, just stay with it, we'll have a nice break. And then if we want to make the chaturangas harder, come back into your upside down legs. Okay, so feet are tight in towards your bum. And then walk your hands closer to the center of the mat. So now this is not restorative. Now we're getting into more of the dynamic strength. But I'm just showing you how you can use the swing to make your chaturangas harder. And then for those that would want to do handstand push-ups, you come right to the center of the mat. And then you can try making them very hard. But this is a nice way to find the balance and the strength to come into that position, which is really only useful for maybe 3 or 4 situations in your life. Otherwise, unnecessary. So walk your hands back forward into plank. Release your feet. Come on back down. Let's walk it wide. One more wide straddle forward fold. Start to pulse your weight forward and back from heels to your toes. Let your head be heavy the whole time, close to the earth. Notice, look up, my head's almost touching the earth, guys. Okay? So yeah, just work with letting the swing hold you and draping your weight forward. Nice, guys. Hold on to the ankles. Push forward for the last breath. Extend through the chest. So you're pushed into the ball of the feet, Healy, so your heels are, yes. And let your head come towards the earth. Yes. Beautiful, that's it. That looks great. Lovely. Okay, release, hands come to center. We're going to come up through angel wings. So go ahead and, I'm going to watch out because there's a wall here. But the feet are in the center of the mat, and then you walk forward. Palms up, thumbs up towards the sky. We're on a diagonal to come out. Oh, hold on to the swing and release. Oh yeah. Hello, hip flexors.
Oh my goodness.
You guys feel that? Pretty amazing. Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments, suggestions?
How did it feel, Juliana?